Well, for those of you who sponsored minis, thank you very much. You can see that my last remaining stock over here are my 3 Ravnikas and my 2 Dragon Heists. If you want to help give them a good home, I'll be happy to crack them open, and we'll go on adventures with the figures inside. Until then, you know, if you're hemming and hawing, you're like, I don't know, there could be a good figure in there. Let's go over a concept of how you as a DM can examine your party in order to draw inspiration for your campaign, and how you as a PC can get together with your other players. I guess you as a player can get together with the other players to examine your PCs and almost make a character sheet around the party, as if the party was a character, an amalgamation itself. Oh, jeez. It's fine, it's fine. It's not fine, says Daly. Yeah, that figure, it is going to be a premium figure. Because I think it's going to be, I don't know, maybe like 2 feet long or so. It's going to be an intricate setting. No, you're fine, Daly. Don't worry about it. We'll see, and I intend on having 1 or 2 available when they come out. So if any of you do want to pick it up, and you can't find it at your friendly local game store, because look, I'm not here to replace your friendly local game store. If they've earned your business, look, support local small businesses. But if you can't find one there, and you wanted to get one through here, I do intend on having 1 or 2 of them. Daly has a goal! Oh, there we go. All right, it's 33 inches long. All right, so it's over. Yeah, so you know, you set this on your own tabletop, and it's the battle map itself. Pardon me. No, I didn't mute for that. Sorry. Yep, exactly. So yeah, you can have a multi-level fight on that ship as well. Yep. Daly's pitching it for me. Heck, I don't need to go over the deets. It's going to be its own setting, its own battle, like its own battle set. And you know what? One of those minis might end up being the ship that we use in our campaign, in our ship-based viewer campaign. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Throwing the Kraken in the islands. They're over. Yeah, they're just up over there somewhere. What a night, huh? All right. So this is a method that, look, you can do things differently if you wish, or you could take this idea and you know, maybe you swap around some of the details. You focus on one thing and not the other. So really what I'm doing here is I want to convey an idea on how to approach a party examination. And then how you decide to do it from there, well, it'll be up to you. As you can see, we have our party members. So let's put on our PC hats. We're 5 members who are getting ready. You know, we want to step up and have an adventure together. And part of that is to examine what are our strengths and our weaknesses. You know, where do we shine? What do we have covered? What's going on? So we each bring out our character sheets, right? Sorry, it's a lingering cough. It's nothing serious, but it's annoying at this point, you know. Anyway, and we can put our stats next to each other in order to understand maybe where we have weak points in order to help better cover it. Now, we did generate these 5 characters at different levels because we're doing random character creation. And you know what? That's fine. especially in 5th edition, remember that your stats are flatter than if we were playing in 3rd or 4th ed, right? You don't have players by level 20 having, 40 strength. So, even a first level character could have a 17 in a score, and it's going to tap out at 20 anyway. And so we can get away with comparing characters of different levels. I mean, obviously, if everyone's level 1 or 5 or whatever, it'll be more apples to apples for you when you go through this exercise. But up here, they are different, but we still know where the character is going to shine, right? Our paladins are going to have high strengths at level 1 or at level 20, or in this case at level 19 for one of them, huh? And so you can see that I've extrapolated I've taken the data and I've laid it out. I chose to put their 2 strong saves, right? Their proficient saves here. Now, if we're dealing with a monk, actually the monk that we have down here can have that changed. But monks and rogues are going to be a little bit different as well, because they have extra proficiencies built in, let alone if someone takes the feat. But again, in this exercise, just to get the idea, here's our saves. I put in passive perception and passive investigation. If you wanted to add passive insight or replace investigation with insight, right? It's your natural sort of BS detector, then you can do so. I put investigation because investigation is brought up specifically in a feat that can enhance passive perception and passive investigation. And then lastly, I put hit points and armor class. Your hit points are going to be more wild in a party of different level characters. But if this was an apples to apples comparison, you can see, all right, so who's the hit point tank amongst us? And AC, I put a little S if it's indicating that this character normally uses a shield to have that AC. But we can also see, 18. So Duggan is a little lacking here. And then we have Lom, who's stepping up with an 18 AC, so we're pretty solid in that regard. And so going through the exercise, we have our final character. Just to show you how I went through and did this. So we have a 17 strength. We have a 14 dex. A 12 con. 10 intelligence. 16 wisdom. And a 14 charisma. Her saves are intelligence and wisdom. Her passive perception is 13, and her passive investigation is 10. Her hit points are 124, and her armor class is 15 with a shield. Yeah, it'll make for some very interesting. It'll make for some very interesting battlefields, right? Hey, Forsaken, welcome. Good to see you here. Speaking of minis, Forsaken, I think I still have a miniature or 2 with your name on it. I can hang on to them still if you want to build a collection. But just to remind you. Oh, and McCoolman is joining us. Welcome, McCoolman. Great to see you again. It's been a great day. And a snowy day, too. Now, what I also suggest is to go through and pick out or label the skills in which a character has proficiency. And I'll show off the reason for this. So for example, let's look at Lou. Nature is proficient. Animal handling. Survival. intimidation, and persuasion. Going through here, I mean, if you want to list party languages, just to see the coverage that the party can offer when you're interacting with other intelligent beings, you can do so. I didn't do so here. I mean, because we can put common Sylvan. You know, I put these question mark placeholders to just indicate that another language is available to this person. What would it be? And if you didn't want to focus as a party on what languages you speak, have it be something else that is, you know, which weapons do you use, or I don't know, things along those lines. Any tool uses here? We do have another gaming set and an herbalism kit. Tools can come in handy because if you're looking for role play or creative uses of maybe, I don't know, something you could do in a fight or in a social interaction, or if your party wants to do some crafting, this is a good way to see which skills are available to the party. All right, Diadems, come back whenever you can. And this is something that I include as well. This is just a quick and dirty little reference. Let's see, we have available to us, she is a melee. High magic and healing. And now this is arbitrary on my behalf. Characters that are proficient in 6 or more skills, I consider to be skilled characters, because they have a wider breadth. And so these are just little summaries. And the reason why we have these summaries is going to become evident down below this. But before I go into step 2, so you can see we have all of this, you know, separated out as a good visual reminder of your party, especially when it comes to skills. And you could make this graph in other ways about other aspects of your party. You could do it with saves. You could do it with strength scores. You could have it be everything as a bar graph. But if we take a look, there, I guess to the party's credit, especially because it was all completely randomly generated, and none of the skills were given to the characters to say, well, we don't have a sneak, so I guess I better take stealth because who else will? You know, in that sort of meta conversation that we can have. And you know what? Building a party and a character, sometimes you have those conversations. I'm not going to say that that's bad. But what's nice is for these characters, it was completely done in a vacuum. Every character was made separately. And despite that, we only have 3 skills which have no proficiencies. Acrobatics, Arcana, and Medicine. And Medicine might be able to be offset because we have 2 Paladins and at least a partial Druid, but Druids and Rangers both get healing spells, so... So that's not too terrible, huh? Now, let's take a look at the skills, which have 1 member of the party hold proficiency. And we are going to color these skills yellow. Yellow for caution. And I say caution because let's say that Duggan is kidnapped or becomes unconscious due to disease or something, or just is killed, or Duggan for some reason isn't around. The party loses someone proficient in investigation and perception. So there's no backup, right? There's no safety net. You're flying by, you know, party cohesion. However, there are some skills that do have redundancy. Right? So we have religion, deception, intimidation, and performance. And so we get a nice comfortable green, right? So if something happens to Duggan, we may lose investigation and perception, but if a religion check comes up, we can still rely on Sooty to step up. Or if Duggan's missing and we need to make a performance check of some kind, Lom can step up and make a performance. And then there are some skills which have 3 or more. In this case for the party, it's history, insight, and persuasion. And I like going sky blue, right? Sky's the limit here, especially with persuasion. I mean, if you want to even go for a different color, like this is so good. Not only are there 4 party members that are proficient in persuasion, one of them, Duggan, has expertise, right? It's bold and italicized that I'm using as the key to indicate as such. And also you can see where his expertise is in religion and insight. But you could even argue that like this skill is definitely, that one's going to be too hard to read. Here we go. A nice bright pink. Like the sky of dawn, right? A brand new day. Light beams and everything is wonderful and new. So persuasion is the standout skill. Our party is going to be very good at persuading people to do things. And so I recommend making a bar graph like this so you can visually see where your party does, with deception, where your party lies, but where your strengths are here and your weaknesses. And in fact, that is going to come down to this as an exercise for you all. I don't know if any of you have made a SWOT report before. SWOT stands for Strengths, Weaknesses, Opportunities, and Threats. Strengths and weaknesses are internal to an organization, or in this case, a party as the organization. Opportunities and threats are external. And so what do I mean by internal and external? Internal, these are the things that we can, the things that are controllable. I've used the example of like a little girl setting up a lemonade stand in the middle of summer. A strength can be that maybe she lives in a highly walkable neighborhood. And so there's a lot of foot traffic. So a lot of people are going to go by her lemonade stand. She maybe uses name brand lemonade. And so that name brand is a strength. She might have these internal strengths. She might, look adorable as she, bats her eyes and says, only 50 cents a cup. Weaknesses could be a weakness. We could take either some opposites or we could think a little creatively in another fashion. For the party, a weakness is going to be acrobatics, arcana, and medicine. And for our example, it could be this is her first job, or her first attempt at being an entrepreneur, so she might make mistakes. She doesn't have experience. Opportunities and threats, these are things that are external and not necessarily under your control. An opportunity would be, the little girl can't control the weather, but if it's a 100-degree day, for any of us Fahrenheit users, if it's a 100-degree day, you're probably going to be getting more opportunities to sell lemonade. Conversely, a threat could be a rainy day, or a threat. So you have this little girl. She's using Minute Maid, instant lemonade or something, right? And something happens, and Minute Maid has to issue a recall because there were rat droppings in the lemonade packs. Just whatever, right? There's a contamination issue, an allergen issue. Something like this. This poor little girl can't control the reputation of the company or the fact that there's been a safety recall on lemonade. And so that could be a threat, right? And she's having to rely, you know, that her water source is acceptable, you know, that her ingredients are there, that she can, you know, if people come to know her for these cute little, you know, sort of like fun design cups, and she handwrites, you know, she'll put like her name with a Sharpie or something on every cup. And the store runs out of those cute little cups, and she has to use just those, you know, really ubiquitous red Solo cups. You know, and a lot of the charm just seems to go away as you're drinking lemonade out of a red Solo cup instead of like this really fun design that has a handwritten message on it by a little girl selling lemonade. That is a threat, right? Your suppliers, your supplier in this case, it could be a threat to you. Forsaken, you have a great story that happened today, made everyone laugh. The game you play is a Goliath, and I walked into a camp full of trolls and gnomes controlled by a giant and his two sons. I talked to two trolls who don't speak the same language as I, and had to use hand signs to get in. But then second guessed themselves and stopped. So me, as the walking armory, gave one a normal flail and the other a normal hammer. They started fighting each other, so they drew the attention of the scouts, and I walked up to the chief to ask for safe passage. That's clever, right? Play to your, you know, play to your character's, you know, your reputation, your inventory, and your own creativity. Reltech, yes we do. On Tuesdays. For the past... We're in episode 23. So that's at least 6 months. But we've taken a couple weeks off here and there. So for the past, I don't know, 8 months or so, we've been playing on our channel here. We primarily are a workshop channel, but we do play on Tuesdays. And starting, I'm hoping, my ambition is in February, I will be having a second roleplay day open up, where it will be a rotating set of players that are drawn from you in the audience. You know, for those of you who would want to step up and roleplay different characters. Tuesday nights, we begin at 11 p.m. Eastern Time, Reltech. Lith. Yeah, be well. So, Lith, real quick before you go. After this session, that, you know, the week will end, because I don't broadcast normally on Sunday or Monday. I'm going to be taking the next 2 weeks off-ish. We are going to be role-playing on Tuesdays still. I will be live, and we will role-play over the next 2 weeks on Tuesdays. The other days of the 2 weeks coming up here, I'm going to be spending time to retool the channel, work on OBS, get some art assets developed. I might have some other interesting like little animations or little voice clips or something. And so I will be running some test streams for that, and you're welcome to join and give your opinion on that. And I will... I don't know, I might pop on and play a role-playing video game. You know, something that doesn't require a lot of strategizing, kind of like our workshop sessions do. So Tuesdays are going to continue. And then when I come back at the end of the month, right? So we're the 15th, 22nd, and 29th are all role-play days for sure. When I come back on Wednesday the 30th, this is going to begin our 1-year anniversary celebration week, and I'll probably be having some raffles and some other fun stuff for content. If you all wanted to come by and hang out, and you might be able to win some minis and other prizes. But I'm going to be taking this block of time here to take the channel in the Discord, not to take them down, but to rearrange, rework, get everything set for our 1-year anniversary. Well, Reltech, hey, you're welcome here, and if you're new to the game, you can always ask questions. You can, and I'll provide an answer, but you might get a couple other answers from some of the other folks in chat, and that's perfectly fine because there are multiple ways to address various issues that can come up at the tabletop as a player or as a dungeon master. So yeah, but anyway, Lith, Tuesday through Saturday are the normal times, but we're coming up to this weird. I'm shifting gears in order to get ready to celebrate the year of broadcast that we've had, and to continue on. You're very new, well, Reltech. Look, you're sitting at a table in a game store. You're with friends, and you can ask questions here. Don't be intimidated to do so. We are very welcoming to new players, to people who are curious about storytelling, about D&D. In fact, many of us can answer questions about roleplay systems outside of D&D as well, or different editions of D&D. Yep, so Lith, if you're on our Discord, I'll post up some messages. Yeah, we've done a lot of growing over the past year, and I have to thank all of you. Whether you're very new, like Lith and Reltech, whether you've been here for a little while, or you're one of the first people to come and hang out almost a year ago, you're all welcome, and I am very thankful for your presence on here, your influence, your contributions. And I don't just mean by sponsoring minis, that certainly helps, but your ideas, sharing your stories like Forsaken just did. It all adds up to make an awesome place. Very good then. All right, so Lith, if you got to get going, see you around, and thank you for stopping by and saying hi, and giving us a chance on YouTube, and for making for joining us live on Twitch here. It means a lot to me. Hey, Josh, the NES nerd. Hey, King. Speaking of some old dusty fogies that have been hanging around the channel for a good long while, it's good to see you around, King. I hope you've been well. They are truly good, or perhaps even true good. Yes, we are all true goods, are we not? But something is intimidating? Well, McGruber, if you need, as a game store owner, I mean, if I can help give you some motivation or some tactics or something in order to, find that bravery test to go in and start a campaign there, let me know if I can help out in that regard. Be well, Lith. So for this exercise, and we don't have to spend an hour making up a full SWOT report, but look at the information, look at the data. Well, I guess there's a difference. There's a difference between data and information. But look at what we've produced. How about that? Look at what we've produced here. What would be some strengths? Well, definitely strength is a strength. And I would even say strength and charisma are really our top two stats in the party. As well, mental saves. Right? Wisdom, charisma, int, wisdom, and int, wisdom. So the party is very good on mental saves. We'll be dodging, mind influencing effects all day, every day. Especially we have those two paladins. Whew, whew. Man, you get some aura, some of their save aura stuff going on. Shenanigans aplenty. We go through and find a couple weaknesses. 3 skills with no proficiencies. Kind of also, meanwhile, persuasion is really good. Or really just Shaw skills. Physical saves are a weakness of the party, right? Again, these are internal. These are aspects of our party that ought to exist because it exists. Looking at things, our passives aren't necessarily that good. You know, a 13, 14, Duggan stands out, but Duggan is 1 of 5. So our passives are probably a weakness for us as well. You know, we come down here. There's actually the tool proficiencies would be a good strength. But if we look at a weakness, and this is also why, this doesn't scroll too much here, but if you remember down here for the roles, I put down the aspects of each of the characters, right? Melee, ranged, magic, or whatever. We have a paladin that's melee, a paladin that's melee, a rogue that's melee, a monk that's melee, and a druid ranger that fights melee. I mean, there is some range involved because there are spells, but we primarily are melee heavy, and we could probably even put that as a weakness. Mostly melee combat. Sorry, I missed out on a little bit of chat here. Reltech, I'm glad you're finding some help in getting some introductions to virtual tabletops. Josh, yeah, I've experienced that too, where you sleep for so long and you're like, what day is this? Hey, TJ. Sorry, TJ, I'm just shouting out to you because I'm catching up in chat. So, TJ, howdy to you. Daly says, I think so. Who knows? Mayhap we can get a few together and start a game from... Yeah, in fact, you can roleplay with each other. There's an LFG section in our Discord. You can even roleplay through Discord with that Avray bot. You can upload character sheets to it. And I have 2 role-playing voice and text rooms that you can use if you wish. Of course, you can use a virtual tabletop like Roll20 or whatnot, but hey, we have a roleplay community here, and if you're looking for a game to run or to play, I'm sure you can find others. King says to me, you should put on your bucket list to make a Roll20 map anyone can hop into and move stuff around that has little tidbits on how to play. Well, maybe I can work on that in my 2 weeks of downtime. TJ, you're getting ready for your last ever game DMing my RL group. Well, I hope you have a really good time if it's your last DM attempt. Is that because of I know you had some career prospects coming to fruition. Is that because those are going to start taking over, so you're not going to have the time to play? Josh the Nerd going for the roleplay prompt. Active Energy, is that you? It comes up and says Lil Z. You're moving. Gotcha, TJ. Well, I hope you have a lot of fun with it and you make a really memorable experience. All right, Daly. Well, then I will be talking to you about that. That is quite the move. My gosh. All right, what are some opportunities for the party? Well, we do have Thieves' Tool proficiency and some crafting. So crafting access, especially because one of the Thieves' Tools proficiencies has expertise. Crafting, access, and gambling. Or gaming, if you want to call it a little bit. I mean, gambling, some people are like, ugh. And especially deception, because we are good with disguise kit and forgery kit. So if these are opportunities for our party to really step up, you know, should they come around in the course of adventuring. As well, opportunities for healing, which could include poison or disease removal, as we have 2 paladins and a druid / ranger. So, I mean, looking at healing as an opportunity might sound a little morbid also, because you're like, oh yeah, you know, I could all be but cut in half immediately with one stroke of a greatsword and I'll be fine, ultimately. I mean, it still hurts. Like, it's like the Nurse Joy at the Pokemon Center saying, we hope to see you again. What? You want me to get beat up? You want my Pikachu to be bloodied and you know, just like held together by the Pokeball in which it resides? Don't tell me to like, you know, to come back soon. What are you doing? And as for threats, a big threat, because we have a very magical party, a big threat would be anti or wild magic. Right? The only one who can really operate would be Duggan. Although Duggan can operate magical, you know, by being a thief, will eventually be able to operate magical equipment. But he himself is not magical. But again, that's 1 out of 5. Our paladins rely on magic. And even if it's just not anti-magic or wild magic, just running out of slots, right? You burn through your spell slots. And then what? Thief, TJ. Josh the Nerd readies his sling because active energy may not be active energy. Hey, we actually cracked open a doppelganger miniature a little earlier in the broadcast. Oh, geez, Viking. Threats. A big threat could be flying enemies, right? The party can't control if you know, if that occurs, and a couple of them might be able to pew pew or use a standard, you know, like a crossbow or something along those lines. But we don't have an exceptionally good ranged party here. Yeah, Josh, you know, it's interesting. Over the past year that I've been broadcasting, I've seen the number of bots that just sort of lurk in the channel just grow and grow and grow. And threats. So the weakness, the weakness of hero could be physical saves. But of course, if we get over here, no one is proficient in, well, I'm sorry, Lom is proficient in dex throws. But when it comes to things like, traps, right, in finding them or reacting to them, you know, we don't have barbarians. We don't have a lot of DR. So traps would be a threat to this party as well. And look, we can take our time and we can really sit down and pour over this, but I wanted to at least prime this idea in your mind. You know, I wanted to go over what's the concept and how can you think of your own party using this method so that you can find the weaknesses and strengths of it, and so that you know, you can find your spot in the party a little bit better. Are any of your active viewers people from your IRL store? Well, let's take a look. Dark Wolf, if she was on, is from the store. I do not. Oh, Rytel is lurking. Rytel goes to the store as well. And as of right now, that's who I see that are active in the shop. All right. So with this, we have some really good data about our party. And now I wanted to take our player character hats off and put on our DM caps and showcase how can we, if we're going to be planning a campaign, how can we ensure we're going to have content that is going to be relevant to our players? Or I mean, to our players, but our player characters. Now, this concept was already seeded inside the creation of the region, the NPCs, and the villains. Right? We wanted to create that engagement at all those levels. But even if we're going to speak broadly, because we're going to be making a broad campaign outline in the next segment, what can you do in order to make sure the party has reasons to stay together? To make sure that there's relevant content that remains to be discovered or to be overcome. And what I did, kind of like Bob Ross prepping his canvas before his show, right? A pre-stretched double prime canvas. I took each of the 5 party members. I listed out a quick little summary of their info. Kind of a fun, like a role play fact, like if you had to summarize the character in a sentence or two. And I've also listed their personality traits, their ideals, their bonds, and their flaws. And the reason I did this is to find similarities between the characters, as the characters may very well seem different. I mean, look, we have a neutral evil character, and we also have a neutral good character. Well, how in the heck can they get along? One's evil and one's good. Because there are still going to be commonalities. There might be tension, but the characters can still agree on some things, presumably. Josh says, does your shop have any people who hang out by the counter just to tell people their amazing stories? One person who did that at a store I used to play games at called himself a counter monkey for doing that. They don't hang out at the counter, but if you do come to the store, you could hear stories if you sit down and play in our open roleplay games, or if you have a private game going. A lot of the people who come for our open board game nights will also roleplay and casually talk as they're playing, Catan or whatever, Raw. And so you can hear a lot of stories that way, or you can just talk to people who are sitting down and enjoying the tables at the store for whatever else, Magic or some other game, or just casual conversation. King says, some kid was complaining to me that he got kicked out of a game store for trading cards between games. Turns out he meant trading them for money. So he was selling cards to other people in the store. That is a bit of a taboo, right? If you're going to be using the services of the store, in which you're playing, which is providing a roof over your head and heat and air conditioning and hopefully a clean bathroom and snacks and drinks and whatnot. Undermining the store by selling cards in the same store is depending on the culture of the store, the owner. Hey, stop it! No. What? Why are you being such a varmint? Get out of here! Get out of here! Oh, you know what? It's especially egregious when you have someone come up and say, hey, I want to trade in this card. How much will you give me on it? You take the time to look it up. You give them a fair trade-in value. And then, like, right in front of you at the counter, they call the other person up and says, I'll tell you what, you offer $6 in trade. I'll tell you what, I'll do it for $7. And you're there like, really? Like, you couldn't even just step outside and pretend to smoke a cigarette or take a walk around the block or, you know, just... But are you really doing this right in front of me? What's wrong with you? Now get out. And don't do that again. I think you need to take a walk around the block and consider your, you know, your choices. McGruber, I'm not sure if I should put pictures I take into the art Discord or all right, so if it's your art that you made, you can put it in the art channel. If it's art like you go to a museum and you're taking pictures of sculptures around your town or other neat things like that, you can put it in the IRL channel. If they're pictures, you know, that you found online and they're fun, or, you know, they're about storytelling, or they could, you know, provoke imagination, you can put that in RP memes. You know, ultimately, you know, if you've thought about it and you're not sure, you can always just say, I think this is the place to go, and post a couple. You can always talk to a mod as well. All right, so if they're pictures that you've taken of the outdoor, like IRL world, then definitely put it in the IRL channel. If they're pictures that you've drawn, or even for Elbrun, you know, Elbrun made a city map and took a picture of that. That's not necessarily your world IRL, because it's you know, there's overlapping amongst some of the channels, and I don't try to be a heavy stickler. I mean, so if someone posts something up, you know, it's a mistake, I'm not gonna be like, get off the Discord or anything like that. But if it's stuff like scenery and nature, you know, it's outdoorsy stuff, IRL stuff. I mean, it could even be in your office, but it's not necessarily roleplay related. Then IRL would be the best place for that. If it's artistic in a sense, if you're taking a photo of a drawing that you made, or of a plushie you've made, or a miniature you've painted, that would be more of your art. If you're taking photos, if you live by the sea and you're taking pictures of the sunset, you know, over the horizon of the ocean, while that could very well offer roleplay inspiration, it's more of an IRL, because it's nature, it's the world around us. And the point of that channel is to draw inspiration from it, but your art is, it can be pictures of things that you've otherwise drawn or sewn or sculpted or painted. Well, you know, Josh, it's you know, hopefully it doesn't happen, and I can't say it happens all that often, but I mean, look, sometimes people just derp out. They don't know, or they don't care. And maybe they don't care, not because they're bad people, but they've never thought about caring about that as an aspect of the business. All right, so for this exercise, the point is we have our character summaries. Now, there's no stats, right? We looked at statistics, we looked at numbers, we looked at quantities. What this exercise can do, and you could do this in replacement or in addition to the first one, let's look for commonality. Let's look for storytelling hooks. Let's look for how these characters can work together. It is a winged snake. Unofficially named Biddy, B-I-T-T-Y, Biddy the Snake. Yes, Dark Wolf did in fact draw that. It was at my request, but she did the art for it. Rhodey, I'll take that into consideration. McGruber sent over a suggestion as well. It's real, I swear. Doo. Yeah. Reltech as a way to raise money for the channel, for me to continue to, to purchase a second camera, for me to improve the gear. And in fact, I'm looking at investing in a laptop and some cameras and mics to take to the store for our for at least for the Thursday Open game. What I'll do is for 1,000 bits or a $10 donation, I'll crack open a box of minis. There are 4 minis inside it. I'll go through them, and you choose which one you want. This amount covers the shipping to a U.S. address, and I'll send it out to you. And you'll have a miniature you can use in your campaigns as a player or as a DM. Or if you want, you can sit on miniatures and you can build, you could build 10, 20 of them up and have them all sent out at once if you didn't want them one at a time. All right, so for here, let's take a look. Right, we have this very, this feral. We reskinned her as a shapeshifter. Right, we used half-orc as a template. We used the stats, the mechanics, but she's not a half-orc. She is this aspect of nature that we were conceptualizing when we were randomly generating this character, just due to the circumstances. How would this work? And so we take a look, well, no one else is evil, not that evil has to get along with evil. So this in itself may not necessarily be a hook, or at least not off the bat. But let's take a look at here. Let's look at her bond. Nothing is more important than the other members of my family. Now, she may express that differently because she is neutral evil, or because of her like primordial essence, or something along those lines. But this is showing that she is aware of loyalty. She is aware of being a part of a group, wanting to protect the group. So let's take a look at this concept and see, do any of the other characters share that? I will do anything to protect the temple where I served. Nothing is more important than the other members of my family. So why don't we highlight that, and let's come up here to Duggan. So it's about 2 different issues, but Duggan and Amy Lou can at least relate on the importance of a family and doing things to step up and protect them. My ill-gotten gains go to support my family. So it seems like there's a bond shared here. And it's not just with bonds. We've had 3 bonds, but look at Sooty's ideal. I'm committed to the people I care about, not to ideals. So she'll step up for her family, or for in loyalty in this respect. She's in a werewolf. No, you're fine. Puns are welcome here, Shlomo. I'm using open office, Rhodey. Yeah, McGruber, if you wanna throw some photos up, you're welcome to do so. So yeah, apparently that our shapeshifter is a Moon sub. Let's take a look at. So here. Here's a pursuit. I pursue wealth to secure someone's love. This is an extent, so she's working hard in order to reach a goal. In this case, it's an amorous one. Do any of the other characters have this as a pursuit? I'm guilty of a terrible crime. I hope I can redeem myself for it. Well, we could maybe highlight the entire flaw, but specifically, I hope I can redeem myself for it. To whom is she redeeming? To whom is she looking to prove herself that she is a better person? So here, our chaotic neutral and our neutral good characters might find some common ground. I can find common ground between the fiercest enemies, empathizing with them and always working toward peace. So now we have a personality trait, not a bond or a flaw. But yet it's still a commonality that we're finding, and we can argue that that because they are existing in different parts of the character's background in the total personality package, these can form even stronger links. Because it's easy, like, if we all shared the similar flaws, in the internet, you get a lot of, I guess I'm trash today. And everyone is like, yeah, I know, I'm trash also. Okay, so if it's a flaw and everyone has it, and everyone's like, well, I'm trash today. Yeah, you share it, but is that as powerful as looking at something in a different way, to have different meanings? To where someone might consider themselves depressed or not valued in a way that they feel they ought to be valued. And one can be from someone who does say, the universe is against me. It's pure bad luck all throughout life. And another person will say, I've been successful, and right now I'm down on my luck. So both still have low lucks. Both are still going through a bit of a downswing, but they're doing so in different ways, yet they can create this commonality coming from each of these different places, instead of all just sitting around, picking their navel saying, well, I'm garbage today. Which, by the way, don't do that, everyone. Even if you're having a bad day, you don't have to lie about it, but don't reinforce it in yourself to say that you're a bad person or that you're in a horrible position. Because if you say it enough to yourself, you get yourself in the mood to believe it, and it can affect your decision making and even your recovery from being in whatever slump you're in. You don't have to go around with a big, dumb, artificial smile on your face. But don't make things worse by just going, I'm garbage today, because that doesn't help you. Does it make you more attractive to other people who might want to help you or spend time with you? I know we're getting into a lecture about, self-improvement and positivity. But, yeah, it is a rare king sighting, Diadems. Rhodey, you gotta be positive, man. Especially with someone as creative as you. Look for the opportunities that exist, even in even in a dark tempest time, a tempestuous time. Challenge yourself, rise to the challenge and overcome it, and you will feel better personally, and other people who watched you get through it will be much more impressed. All right, so we have pursue wealth to secure someone's love. I want to redeem. I want to prove myself to someone else. I can find common ground between the fiercest of enemies. Lom, who's kind of been... Lom has been a very free spirit, but a powerful person killed someone I love. Someday soon, I'll have my revenge. Now, this is a personal goal. If you wanted to put it with the others, maybe. He's going to be proving to himself that he can do this. However, if we don't want to go with the revenge aspect, he loved someone at some point in time, enough that this really impacted him. So we can at least highlight this part of his bond to go with the others. Now, everyone here is more or less kind of hoping to talk up. With our knight, this is more of a talk down. She definitely speaks in flowery language, and she will gratify. But she's not doing it to pursue love, or to pursue a personal vendetta, or to prove herself in some way that might be more positive. So in this case, she might not share this color link, and that's fine because not all characters will. You know, look at Sooty's flaw. I'm horribly jealous of anyone who can outshine my handiwork. Everywhere I go, I'm surrounded by rivals. So here we have suspicion, right? Here we have negativity. You know, this is my precious. Surrounded by rivals. If we can't trust? Well, I'm incredibly slow to trust. Those who seem the fairest often have the most to hide. Even our good acolyte here is suspicious of strangers. Now, interestingly enough, we come over to our charlatan who had quite a rough life. Someone who, you know, in this case, constantly lies. But it's not suspicion, because the suspicion is more of, I'm suspicious of what's coming into me. Lom projects lies or deceit, or projects his goals and personality outwards. Right? I'm a free spirit. No one tells me what to do. I lie about everything. Lying is a projection of oneself. You know, I'm always in debt. Well, I'm buying what I want. I'm spending my coin. So in this case, despite Lom being a very shady character, especially as a way of Shadow Monk, he doesn't actually have this golem-like suspicion of other people. Not necessarily. Let's see. I think our shapeshifter can get in on this as well. With something like suspicion of other people who are around her. I secretly believe that everyone is beneath me. So you see how we can go through? And it's fine, by the way, again, I want to stress this. It's fine if one of the characters can't, doesn't jive with, the notion, right? If we have this pink notion that we're labeling, not all characters have to have it, and that's fine, because we're going to build uneven bonds amongst the party. But ultimately, it'll even out because they all create different styles of bonds. The Tuesday game is an amazing example of this process, by the way. In fact, Coffee Cat Comics even went through and did this exercise. It's very interesting to take a look at. So hopefully you get the idea. And look, you can do things like... so as we were going through... so we have this acolyte of the faith, right? Well, we said that Lom is studying... just sort of the other side of the same coin. Lom, by being this way of Shadow Monk, like, so we have a rogue thief acolyte, and in concept, the way of Shadow Monk is the same thing but different through the same organization. And that magenta is really close to that pink that we used before. Let's use a lighter red. Now over here, we have our human Paladin of Devotion and our Paladin of Vengeance. They may not share the same religion, or maybe they do, but they're not drawing their power from the religion necessarily. They are each drawing their oath as a paladin through their own pursuits, through their own lifestyles. And so in its own way, that kind of pursuit, and I'll show an interesting crossover opportunity here. So we have this, and then, so we have our two paladins, right? But they're doing things for their own reasons. Well, you know what? I am a free spirit. No one tells me what to do. Here we've had a solid crossover between a class and a subclass and an ideal of another character. Because all of this information up here, all these aspects of the characters are the same thing but different. They're different projections, different ways that the characters are expressing themselves. And so you can find commonality or similarity, not just along, you know, apples to apples, race and race, class and class. Look, we have two humans in the party. Does that mean that the humans just are automatically going to get along with each other? Mm-mm. Hey, Victor, good to see you. "15 more days till Song of Swords should finally drop. Funny, the original projected release date for the current version was last February. Oh my. It does seem to be getting pushed back if it's been almost a year. Well, King, I will have, I don't have a day and time just yet, but I will have this open, this sailing campaign that you and others might be able to partake in. Okay, well, hey, if he and everyone is doing well, I'm glad, because, you know, I miss popping in and saying hi. But if you do contact Own Dog, let him know that I say hi as well, and that I do hope that things are, you know, stay happy and healthy and go from there. Hey, Zerby, welcome. So yeah, look for these commonalities. We have a charlatan whose specialty is multiple identities. You know which character can share that? All of this right here. Multiple identities. Grace of Darkness, thank you for noticing us. I very much appreciate that subscription. And I'll tell you, Grace, not only is that a compliment that what we do is appreciated and accepted, and that you wish to sponsor it, more of it, when we have our raffle on Wednesday, for everyone who subscribes to the channel, I get boxes of minis that I set aside for the raffle based on the number of subscribers. And so you all are helping to fuel these sort of fun raffles and giveaways as a part of, as a thank you back to you as well for supporting the channel as you do. So, again, we can spend a half hour, 45 minutes, an hour or more going through and finding some connections. But I wanted to go through the exercises. I wanted to introduce this concept to you that as a DM, if you want to look for commonality between or amongst your players, and you want to pull on some emotional heartstrings, or you want to introduce intrigue that really will help draw some characters in, or a particular spotlight you want to shine on a character that can sort of have this splash shine, to bring along the others who are also facing similar circumstances. And I hope then that our two party examination methods really can help you out as a player or as a DM. And it'll help you to express your characters in a better fashion. It'll help you design your campaigns in a better fashion. And overall, you're going to have a lot of fun at your tabletop. Especially because you're taking some time to really think about this stuff. And if you do so, often you'll find revelation. All right, so let's take a 10-minute break. Get a snack, a drink. You know, if you have a pet, show the pet a little bit of love. Stretch, use the restroom, whatever you got to do. We're going to come back in 10 minutes, and then we're going to take all of this information from the past 2 weeks, our characters, our map, our villains, our NPCs, and we could even include some of the party stuff here that we've done. And let's make an outline for the campaign. And we'll use milestone. I'll get into it when we get there. All right, 10 minutes, everyone. We'll come back, and let's bring 2 weeks of work together in culmination and pitch a story concept that you may very well be able to run at your own tabletop if you would so choose. All right? Be back.